Hello everyone and welcome today to a hypothetical scenario which we will be exploring, which will involve the unification of Austria and Germany. Now this is one of my favourite fantasy unions, which I like to call the German Federation. And I'm not sure where I got the name from, it might be like a really popular thing. So the German Federation will be formed, and this video and the series that I'm going to be making on this are tilted in the German Federation's favour, and I believe that the Germany and Austria are not allowed to unify via their constitutions, but we're going to be ignoring that and making them unify anyway. So let me just clean up this border to make it look nice and lovely. It will look a lot better. So here we go. The German Federation. Now, well, this is obviously going to be a bit of a shock, but yeah, I mean, Europe would just mostly move on as usual, and later, Germany would reach out to Denmark, asking if they can unify with Denmark to form, to add them to the German Federation. And after immense pressure, Denmark will accept, also giving them Greenland. So we have a very big German Union in the centre of Europe. And now it could do some invading, but I think first it can get some land, specifically out of Poland. It will say to Poland, give me northern Poland, in exchange I will pay you a lot of money and give you a lot of manpower. And also Ukraine is getting invaded in the background. So Poland will accept, and this is what it will end up looking like. So there we have it. Germany has officially annexed northern Poland, and recently Lithuania has been getting closer, and the Lithuanian people are calling for unification with the Germans, which will go through. So we have a big Germany in Europe, and there is some chaos going on over here, over here, over here as well, and we will be covering this area first. So, interestingly enough, Bavaria will attempt to secede from Germany. Now, this won't be perfect, but Bavaria will attempt to escape German rule, citing the fact that Germany is a cruel and oppressive nation, which it is not, but Bavaria will still state that it is, and Germany will be forced to invade. So the Germans will go through Bavarian lands and take out this sort of area as more political turmoil is happening in Western Europe. And the German High Command will give the order to eliminate Bavaria, which will happen. So Bavaria has just been eliminated. And also, in cooperation with Sweden during this time, no ships heading for Russia with supplies or anything are allowed through here, and Germany has begun a naval blockade over here, which causes Russia to condemn these actions, but they won't get directly involved for fear of NATO getting involved against them, which would not be ideal. Now, tensions would overboil in the UK, and their government would be overthrown. Same with France, and this is not good. But what's even more not good is the fact that Russia is invading Ukraine, which is very much not good, as Russia has gotten to about this point in their Ukrainian offensive, with a little tiny offensive up here. But without any supplies coming in, and with Turkey being pressured into cutting off the Bosphorus Strait from Russia, Russia is slowly starving, only having trade through land routes, which Europe is not allowing. Central Asia is, well, Georgia and Azerbaijan are not going to allow any trade. So their only real trading partners are North Korea and China. And there's no way India is getting through any of this or any of this. So Russia is slowly starving. As Western Europe has come together to give Ukraine a $500 billion package to allow Ukraine to liberate this area and even invade into Belarus, as well as make a full-on offensive over here, pushing way up, hoping to encircle the Russians over here. Now, this is pretty major, but Russia will then do something which, in hindsight, for Russia's sake, was not a good idea. They will start initiating cyber attacks on Germany, the German Federation, which will cost lives. So Germany gathers all the NATO members together and invokes Article 5. Now, if you know anything about Article 5, it is, when a NATO country is attacked by a country they can invoke Article 5, which obligates every single nation in NATO to help them to defend, and it is also considered an attack on every nation in NATO. So Russia is screwed, simply put. So Kaliningrad is seized. This bit wasn't going to last long, as the Germans also seized this. And that's good for the Germans. And Poland seizes this part of Belarus, and Germany seizes the other part of Belarus. So now this may seem a bit repetitive, but Russia will very quickly sue for peace, of which NATO will agree to under a few conditions, which will have to be met. So I'll draw up that peace treaty, and I will speak to you soon. So I've drawn up a rough peace treaty here. Ignore the fact that Russia's in the white for a bit. Oh, I just realised it's a mistake. So, anyways, so Russia is now only this, but now they have a Western government, army restrictions, essentially everything that happened to Nazi Germany when they lost World War II. And these regions will be annexed by these countries, and a new Belarusian government will be put in charge. And there isn't much territorial exchange here, but the fact of the matter is that most democratic countries don't like to expand their nations too much, unless you're the German Federation, in which case you try to. But they didn't really want to expand into nations that aren't either pro-German or just don't want to be German nations. So that's why they essentially could have gotten more, but they didn't want to get more. And yes, Finland did get some stuff for their valuable cooperation with the West. So Russia has been reduced, and they are forced to give up some lands eventually. So they will be forced to make concessions and give up lands and maybe create new republics in their own territory. But for now, Russia is left somewhat intact, but with army restrictions, which leave them with a smaller army than the nation of Moldova. But this does come with a protection, which is they can't be invaded. NATO officially has a defensive pact with them, guaranteeing their independence. So, yeah, Russia is fine. Belarus is somewhat fine, but this Belarus is nowhere near as independent as Russia is. But with this, Germany is looking very powerful now, and concerns start to arise, especially when this nation, the UK, decides it's going to shatter, or in other words, completely break apart. There are the Scots that gain their independence. The Scots decide they're going to break away from the UK. Scots break away, the Welsh break away, and the Irish. The Irish will be the first ones that allow the UK to trigger something. So with this new map of the UK, England will try to reclaim its former land, and may be successful, may not. But first thing they're going to do is invade up to this point, of which they will not be able to go any further, and Scotland will make a pretty good counter-offensive, stop them from doing that, and they will invade this area. And the US will blockade Irish trade, thanks to the fact that, England is officially called in Article 5, across both Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. France will have to start sending support, and Germany will also continue to send support. Meanwhile, Norway and Iceland will begin naval harassments. Well, not really Iceland, because they don't have too strong a military. But also, practically every single nation in the most nations in the world that don't absolutely hate the UK will they will condemn Ireland's actions, and also Wales will fall and get re-annexed, which this is supported by most of the world as they've just tried to break away and they've been stopped. So, and after Glasgow is captured, Scotland will also sue for peace and get annexed. Now, there's a problem here. Ireland is not finished yet. So they need to do that. And a landing will be made in the south of Ireland, right around here. As well as in Northern Ireland. And of course, something has to happen to stop this from happening, and that is realizing that the West is in a not advantageous position. Russia is going to try again, and Ukraine, being the only nation currently available to do anything, will be allowed to pass their troops through Belarus to essentially create a blockade of Russia. And multiple nations will condemn these actions. Will condemn the actions of Russia, and Ukraine will be able to occupy all of this area and start heading for Moscow. As Russia starts conscripting a military to, become larger than Latvia or Moldova. So anyways, the UK will officially gain back all of its stolen territory and also defeat Ireland, and they will be forced into a peace deal, which I will do just now. So with this, the now renamed back to the United Kingdom will annex even more of Ireland, and Russia will capitulate. So we will have a look at that peace deal now. So with the defeat of Russia, we would see a very two more nations being formed over here, as well as Russia having tighter treaty agreements. Now being forced into total neutrality, and they would have to accelerate the process of releasing new nations, specifically over here in Siberia and down here in the Caucasus. Areas that were previously taken by the Russian Empire during previous empires. But interestingly enough, the Russians will declare martial law, which would not violate their treaty parameters, as this is to keep a popularized Westerner in power. Someone who is loyal to the West in power for a constant. And they are also, if they ever come under threat, they will either be transported to Kiev, Minsk, Warsaw, Berlin, Munich, Paris, Rome, Madrid, Lisbon, or London, with those being a safe areas that the new Russian leader can go to. Now, this event was bound to happen either way, and this is a series focused on the German Federation, but this is also important, and that is the declaration of the pro-Serbian Republicans, which will slowly try to take over Bosnia. And this will lead to an intervention, as this could be considered an attack on Bosnia by Serbia. And as a now NATO member, that's not good. And this quickly fall, and so does this. So that ended rather quickly. But you may be interested. How is Germany going to expand per se? Well, through, let's say, diplomatic pressure. As more pressure builds on Poland, Poland will be forced to cede more land over to Germany, which will include this and even more of this. So now Germany has firmly increased their sphere of influence over Poland, which is not good for the Polish. And they will they will, of course, condemn Germany's actions, but there's nothing really much they can do. Now, down here in Africa, where Ethiopia has finally had enough of not having a coastline, and invades Djibouti and starts invading into Somalia. Somalia. Why isn't my brain working today? But they will start invading and get to about here, so they will invade fully through Somaliland, eventually cutting off the northern portion of the country from the southern portion of the country. But this is when South Sudan will try to get involved, but after the Ethiopians make a brief little trip through them, of which they don't like that, so they immediately just give the go-ahead for Ethiopia to do whatever they want. So with no other nations attempting to intervene in this, Somalia is not doing too well. And guess who will be sending in their fleets to, quote-unquote, help Ethiopia? That's right, it's Germany. And Germany is going to attempt and Germany will seize this area, and also will seize all of this territory as their own. And Ethiopia will be able to annex, will be able to take the rest. So, just quickly. So, yes, Ethiopia will keep the rest of Somalia. And now we will see a peace treaty. So if I just get rid of that, get rid of that, and get rid of that. Well, we all know where this is going. So, Djibouti is annexed by the Ethiopians, as well as these sort of regions. Now, this is not motivated by like ethnic boundaries or anything. They just want coastline, and that's what they're gonna get. Coastline. They want it. They're gonna get it. And no, that doesn't look right. So I think they should get like maybe this, and then maybe a little extension of it. So yeah, and then the rest will be turned into, well, and so this all goes over to Ethiopia. And now for the German region. So this entire southern region, oh yeah, they're European, they can just draw straight lines. Oh, that's not a straight line. No, they're not going to. They will essentially be allowed to gain all of this, leaving Somalia with only this. So, this is interesting because Germany has started a precedent for the rest of Europe. That Africa can be recolonized if you fight for it. Against developed nations, you can recolonize Africa. And, well, we know a certain someone is still in power who would love to be expansionist, don't we? So actually no. Yeah, we're probably too far. But in some form or another. First off, let's just. Yeah, Morocco just annexes Western Sahara after a bit. They allow them to get recognition on the world stage, and then proceed to invade them. So that's a problem solved. And now, with Germany having a colony in Africa, that gets Europe scheming. But first, yeah, we all knew this was coming. Turkey, supported by the Germans, is invading into Syria. And also, interestingly enough, NATO starts to become more and more relevant as more countries don't feel the need to be in it. And Germany will use this to their advantage. As the nations of Czechia, Slovakia, Belarus can't, Hungary, Latvia and Estonia will all leave NATO. This gives Germany an opportunity as, well, I'm pretty sure you can see where this is going. They force Latvia's hand into giving them, they force, Latvia's hand into giving this. So, Germany would like to also obtain Riga, but they were forced not to, as Europe would greatly would disapprove of taking a capital of a sovereign nation. So, I believe that's done it for our first episode. Now, tell me if you want to see more of these, because I find these interesting, and just to remember, this is completely unrealistic. Ukraine, realistically, would not be able to get 500 billion like that and use that to defeat Russia. They would not. But hope to see you soon in the next episode.